All right, let's dive in, shall we? Naya Feather. Naya, for those new to Magic, refers to the color combination of green, white, and red. Feather here refers to Feather Redeemed. 3/4 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that spell when it resolves instead of putting it into your graveyard. At the end of your turn, it comes back to your hand. We've got a variety of other cards that get value from targeting your things with spells. 10th District Legionnaire, Season of Growth, and then a couple of other miscellaneous threats that also double as removal, such as Bonecrusher Giant. And then we've got a bunch of different tools here at the bottom end of our curve that are good with our things that want to be targeted and generate value and do different things. This is one of my favorite archetypes, not only in Historic, but it's been fun in Pioneer and was fun in Standard as well. Let's go ahead and dive on into an event here and move along with it. Yeah, so the stream title when I fired up this morning had Mardoom in it, and if you look in the deck queue, there's not a deck link in there. And past Jeff forgot to build the deck, so we're gonna play Naya Feather since the next one down. And we can't play Get Rog because Arena is bugged. So we're not playing the Mardu deck because it's not built. I'm not taking an hour on stream to build it. This is fine. Past Jeff is the worst. He leaves me all sorts of things to take care of. All right, I think with them passing this is likely a removal spell. I'm just going to go ahead and play Seasons of Growth here. Has Captive Audience. It almost assuredly will not include the card Captive Audience.
Mind and body, meditate and prepare.
Prison cards suck, chat. Prison cards suck, chat.
Hone your prowess.
Okay. Hey, Williams Jag. Thank you for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Oglandia. So because there's a feather on top of my deck, I'm going to end step God's Willing here to draw a card. And scry one. And then what I get to do here is I get to go land, play Feather, and the way Feather and Dreadhorde Arcanist interact with each other, we get to get this God's Willing back to our hand. So I'm gonna attack this here and have this target this. So we're not gonna get to draw a card because of Narset, but Narset's gonna go away here. So we get to deal with Narset and then get our stuff back. I guess the downside here is that they get to Ritualist Soot to clean our dorks out here, but that's fine because I get to draw another couple cards. Feels a little bit bad, but not the end of the world. I'm going to bottom the other Defiant Strike here. I'm just looking for another threat at this point. Because protection doesn't prevent destroy effects, Skindy. Which is one of the many reasons why protection is a god-awful mechanic that they should not have brought back, because new players assuming that protection prevents destroy effects is one of the many assumptions that new players tend to make about protection that are not accurate. There's a long time in Magic's history where they just didn't print that effect anymore, and that was one of the many reasons why they didn't print it. This is an incredibly convoluted and confusing mechanic. I think I'd actually rather just play more white sources here. I have plenty of green already, and I have plenty of red.
In my image. Witness a mote of my power.
Alright, so I think we start with Defiant Strike here. See where we go. We get to draw 2 cards. Tenth District Legionnaire here. Get to scry. Feather. Yeah. Okay. So let's just go ahead and attack Nikki B here then. They know about this God's Willing, so they know their card is dead. I think I'm okay with Bonecrusher here. Play another land out here and pass. We'll probably hold 2 lands in my hand as things to discard to things like Nicol Bolas. Do I plan to play more Epic on stream in the future? Yeah, I'm going to be doing Epic segments tomorrow and Friday. As always, my schedule can be found on my website with not only when I'm live, but what I'm going to be live with. I think I'm going to hold on to Feather for now. Just going to Bone Crush their face and then play this out. You got it. Yikes. The castle here is a little scary. If we can find even one card that targets our stuff nicely, we could be in a decent spot, though. Because, like, Feather plus Season of Growth can generate a lot of card advantage really quickly. Hopefully they just play a threat here that we can Domri's Ambush. We'll get to Feather Domri's Ambush. Okay. If this isn't like a counterspell, if this is... They double top tier, so this card might also get us.
My schemes are never ending.
Okay, this actually ends up being pretty okay for us. Would like to draw God's Willing, please. That'll do, pig. That'll do. This one protects from Ritual Assault, and it protects from Nicol Bolas. To be fair, this card's much better than God's Willing in the face of Questing Beast. Please don't Angrass Rampage me. Was a card we saw earlier. Hey, thanks for the quarter of a year, Gaffer. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Nah, doing it during their upkeep doesn't really change anything. Because they just kill it. Were those good draws? They just kill it during my following upkeep if they draw an instant. I mean, to be fair here, chat, we drew bricks for a long time. Like, we drew a lot of bricks this game. So, like, eventually hitting some live ones here is, like, kind of expected. We've seen a lot of cards this game. We've, like, scryed a lot to the bottom. Yeah, I think this game's pretty done. This is a good example of Season of Growth, just punching the clock and going to work here against the control deck. Dreadhorde Arcanist is gonna rebuy Sheltering Light next turn, numero dos. And then they should just be thoroughly buried from there. That's fair, but then they don't have to downtick their Nick. I don't know. Yeah, the fact that Feather returns at end step, maybe that means you're right. And again, that's why the nuance of, hey Jeff, should you make this play, isn't helpful. Hey Jeff, this is the reason to make this play is helpful. Be constructive and specific. Are they dead? I think they're dead, right? This is 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that should be lethal. So let's get some flashback Defiant Strike, which is +2. Should have stacked that the other way since I knew there was a card on top of my deck that I wanted to draw already. I technically missed a scry, but they're dead. This is a matchup where Gideon Blackblade comes in and Adanto Vanguard comes in. Collision Colossus might be okay here just because it's a pump spell that doubles as a way to kill their flying Nicol Bolas. I think I don't want Reckless Rage. I think just Domri's Ambush is fine as far as removal goes here. I need 2 trims. Bonecrusher Giant is kind of just whatever. Maybe that's the trim. I had an exam about communication and science and technology today, and be constructive and specific is the #1 thing we were told to do there. God bless. This seems reasonable. Okay, you could maybe make the argument for Collision Colossus, but I don't know that it's really necessary. You think 4 Arcanist and Boros Feather and Pioneer is too many? I mean, is there 4 in the deck on my website? Is the easy way to answer that question? Adventure Night! Sounds good, Drakios. I'll get updated after the stream today, as always. I think we tried that in Standard at one point, Gendy. Again, just like having too many low-quality cards in your deck is something you tend to want to avoid. And that's definitely a low-quality card. Rather than playing cards that rely purely on synergy, you want to try and play cards that are just good, that are also synergistic on top of being just good. Let's get that one down here, huh? I'm gonna lead on Dreadhorde Arcanist here because I have God's Willing to protect it from a removal spell, and they showed us Angrass Rampage in the first game, so I'd prefer they don't just get to Rampage my thing and kill it. Because if Adanto Vanguard can stick around, it's very, very good. Hey, thanks for the 3 months, GI. There's only 2 Seasons of Growth in this deck because while when it's good, it's great, it's not always like that. So Season of Growth is a card that this is a deck that experiences what I often refer to as the wrong half problem. It's an archetype that's looking for the exact correct mix of things, and it's very easy to not get that correct mix. And Seasons of Growth is not a creature, nor is it it's not a creature, and nor is it a thing for pumping our creatures. So while when everything's going right, Seasons of Growth is very powerful, it's a card that's not particularly good when things aren't going right. So while when you have it on 2 every game, it's definitely stellar and absurd, there's going to be other games, especially if you draw multiple of them, where it's not particularly great. Green Splash in this deck was unnecessary in Pioneer. Yeah, I think so. You can go watch on my website different builds of us playing Naya and red-white in Pioneer. And I definitely prefer just straight red-white in Pioneer. Ambush sounds great. If they have another Ritualist here, we're going to be a little bit sad. Rampage is also sad. I do at least get to draw 2 cards. So, like, this is, you know, just some of the advantage. Like, they killed our thing, but we get to draw 2 cards here, which is great. Oh, you know what? Shocking that in was wrong because it put me to 14, which means I have one less time to pay life with this, which is relevant. We're just looking for another threat here. Our hand's a pretty healthy mix of things that can target.
Will resonate throughout the multiverse. You have no weakness I cannot exploit.
I'm gonna go ahead and just draw 2 here at the end of turn, I think. And then I'm going to go ahead and play Paradise Druid out here, because Paradise Druid insulates my Adanto Vanguard against another Angrath Rampage. Also gets me a Scribe. The amount of card selection and drawing in this archetype is always very impressive. Well, this card only retains its bonus while it's attacking, so it doesn't have the bonus attack in the second main phase, Asmandi. The way this card is templated is a little bit different than what you'd expect from a lot of other cards and similar. Now, I'd rather just deal more damage, Lord Aaron. Pioneer's not a format that's about going long. It's a format that's about killing people as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Oh my god, I just punted. Wait, what? So they don't understand how their cards work, but I also shouldn't have Bonecrusher here. So they showed us Erebos's intervention last game. And if they had Erebos' intervention there, they could have minused this while I had God's Willing down, but they messed up, so it didn't matter. They didn't have it. Sometimes you play soccer instead of Magic, but I definitely made a mistake there by playing the Bonecrusher Giant. They made a bigger mistake by trying to kill my thing that was indestructible. But, you know, details. Put you to 2. Play this again to insulate from an Edict effect. Also get to Scribe. Perfect. 10th District Legionnaire means that even if they manage to kill my board, we can peel that off the top and kill them next turn. Which, it's pretty unlikely they manage to kill my board here. Oh yeah, that's true too. Removal spells at Bonecrusher. Also not good for them here. Almost feel bad for Grixis. This was like a clinic on why this deck is decent against control. I'm a sucker for a good aggro deck that can draw cards, chat, and this deck definitely qualifies. Decks like protection-based decks like this are a lot of fun, I think. It's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, people ask me about like when I really enjoyed Modern with some frequency, and like I think one of the high points of Modern for me is when Infect was one of the better decks. When like Infect versus Jund, Infect versus Jeskai, Infect versus Blue-White Control, the dynamic of those gameplay patterns tends to be really, really sweet. And this deck plays out in a very similar manner. Tricky creatures and cards that can protect them. Lots of points of both me interacting with them and them interacting with me. Utilizes the combat system of Magic in a very honest way. I have no idea what Modern looks like right now, Mikey. Haven't poked at it in a long time. Have no desire to go back. If Bernie doesn't get the nomination, will you support whoever the Dem candidate is? Anyone other than Michael Bloomberg. I do not think I will cast a ballot for Michael Bloomberg. If Michael Bloomberg gets the Democratic nomination, the Democratic Party deserves to die. In my opinion. If they want to run a Republican against another Republican, they don't deserve my support or my vote. Remagen, thanks for the 9 months. I appreciate the 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. don't know, Grief. I'll do at a minimum what I feel is my duty to show up and vote for any of the other ones. But I don't know if I'd go as far as to support them on stream as much as I support Bernie. What do you ascribe to the support in Bloomberg support? He's pouring tons of money into the race. He's outspending everybody else. Advertising works. That's why it's a billion-dollar business. Wayward Swordtooth Lotus Field. All right, you have my attention, opponent. You have my attention, opponent. Nah, I really don't need to be sponsored by Bernie. Bernie's great, and he has my support. I don't need his money. He should spend his money trying to convince other people to vote for him. I'm gonna do that already for free.
Help, my one drop ripples and grows.
Oh, right. This thing doesn't attack. I'm so used to flipping Lovestruck Beast. Like, I forgot this is from Ixalan. This is from back when we were like still giving the illusion that like green cards weren't just like cracked in half. I apologize. So we'll give this pro red Reckless Rage. Reckless Rage. Let's kill Kiora here. Do I want to play a 4-3 out? I feel like I'd rather hold up the shock.
And you look like lunch. Nature flows with vigor.
Sarkin's Unsealing. Yep. So this does 4 to me and each of my things. So I'm going to go ahead and God's willing 10th District Legionnaire now. So that way it gets bigger than this. I'm one point short of lethal. I'm gonna lose. I could have killed them this turn if I would have. The fact that I didn't God's willing during their second main phase actually costing us here, huh? Because I could do 10, 12. Now I have to kill this. Yeah, or not miss my attack for 2. Yeah, if we lose this game, I deserve to lose it. It's definitely my game to lose at this point. Probably okay. Yeah, yes, yeah, with the Bonecrusher to do 2, I was 1 point short. So the 2 points I missed earlier and the 1/1/1 counter I missed would have allowed the Bonecrusher to be lethal. Reckless rage. Some things die while others feel the pain. Reckless rage. Do 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 burp, 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 burp. Bye, friend. But Modern has taught me 1 + 1 + 1 is 7. Modern's ruined mathematics for an entire generation. The kids, they just ain't right. They just ain't right, chat. All right, Reckless Rage is good here. Lava Coil might be fine. Moment of Triumph's probably okay. A lot of their removal is red, so this getting our things out of the range of red removal seems appealing. Bane, thanks for the 2 months of support there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. You have 20 threats. I don't mind going down to like 18 threats in some post-board games. Trim 1 or 2 Bonecrusher Giants maybe. This is probably a matchup where Season of Growth isn't particularly useful. We're not really going long. We're just looking to punch through early. It's possible that a God's Willing is a trim here as well, just because God's Willing, the protection doesn't work while there's Questing Beast in play, and they're probably a 4x Questing Beast deck. Maybe I'd rather have Lava Coil instead of that. Could see that being true. Let's try this. You join combo into and build mono red cleave. Hey, so long as you have a deck that you enjoy playing, that's the important thing. If you enjoy the mono red deck, crunch people. Wow, this hand is gasoline. We need to draw an untapped land in our first 2 draws. Our first 3 draws. We get to play turn 3 Feather with protection up. Baron Brightmore, thank you for the 7 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Huh? I think I'm just supposed to play this. Hope to draw the land. Okay, opponent's ramping up. Ramp it up. Ramp it up. All right, now the question is, do I Reckless Rage this and put the shields down? I think the answer is no. My hand's just too good. They did miss a land drop here, though, technically. So, like, they don't have another mana in their hands, so, like, there's some appeal. Lotus Field is definitely some anti-synergy with Sword Tooth. That's for sure. They could be playing Blood Sun. That's a good observation. go. This lets them deal 4 to something when they cast a creature with 4, 5, or 6 power. Lets them deal 4 to everything when they cast something with 7. Yep. Yep. Ow. Well, if you go back and check the tape, PhD Shine, you'll notice both the lands in that first opening hand were tapped lands. If either of the lands in that first opening hand had been a shock land, I would have kept it, but they were double Sunpetal Grove. And we were on the draw, so I think not playing a 2-drop till turn 3 is too slow in this matchup. I think I just pass here. Hopefully they don't have another Routing Regisaur here. I'm not sure that that's beatable. If they have a way to trigger this, they can kill Feather, which sucks. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I messed up here. Maybe I'm just supposed to take 7. I get these back though. And like I have to take a little bit of damage to do it, but you get to like play Bonecrusher here, and Bonecrusher gets to Reckless Rage this. So like depending on how good the rest of their hand is here, we could end up being in an okay spot. And we have Arcanist to start flashing back these things, so even though we've lost the Feather, we still have a lot of value left to get going. Okay, they're just on bricks. That's good for us. I think I just go in here on trying to kill them as quickly as possible and just hope they don't rip a 7 power thing. They're at 6 mana, so like we could get like Carnage Tyrant at this point, so I want to just end the game before that happens ideally. Now if they draw even a 7 power creature, I have these to protect 2 of my threats, which is nice. Is it crazy to Sheltering Light here to try and find lethal? Is that too aggressive? I'm dead to Questing Beast next turn if I attack with everything. How many lethal spells do I draw? Do I have? I have Defiant Strike is lethal. I have Defiant Strike is lethal, and I have the 2/2 with haste is lethal. Are there any other draws? Bonecrusher is lethal. So I have like 9 hits that are lethal. Because I think I boarded out 2 Bonecrusher Giants. This is not lethal because they don't have a target for it. Do I play around Questing Beast? I think I'm supposed to play around Questing Beast. Okay, I think I just hit you for 3 and pass to play around Questing Beast. So they can't, like, play Questing Beast, dome me for 8, and then hit me for the last 4. We still have Lethal on board. Especially with the removal spells to cut through potential blockers. Sweet. So ultimately we got there regardless of which decision we made because they drew a brick. But I think that's a good example of talking through, like, okay, what outs do I have? What outs do they have? What am I playing around by taking this line? Can I play around that thing regardless? That kind of back and forth, that thought process of what can you play around? What could they have? What can you afford to play around? Can you play around it in other ways? How likely are you to win the game when you're playing around these things? Those are the types of calculations that you want to be doing to make better percentage plays. You don't always win when you make the correct percentage play, but you're going to be more likely to over the course of many games when you make the correct decision lots and lots of times. So close to being an absurd hand. It's like if any of these cards were a red source at random. As is, gotta throw it back. I think this qualifies as no gamble, no future. I think at 6, this hand's a reasonable keep. Looks like draw threat. Can never catch you live, but here's my Bezobucks for Pioneer on YouTube. Thanks, G-Man. We will be, we did some Pioneer to start this morning. We'll be back to doing Pioneer again most mornings to start. Losing the Season of Growth, the control matchup feels real bad. That card can be quite the ace if it's allowed to stick around.
Don't worry, I got this.
That was not the 10th District Legionnaire I wanted for Christmas.
Let's try this.
Hey, that's the 10th District Legionnaire I wanted for Christmas. Does that kill Teferi? It does, right? I'm gonna keep that just because it's a threat. It's not like a great threat, but any threat is better than none. So I'm putting it on hold for taking in more Pioneer decks, Kreplin. But one of the reasons why I'm successful in running this job as a business is because I'm always well prepared. And when Pioneer turned to crap, I had many weeks worth of decks waiting in the queue to be played. So like if you open the deck queue on my website, all of the formats that are popular at any given point tend to have a 2 to 3 or even a 4-week backlog of decks waiting to be played, just so I know that I have work coming up essentially. So in general, that's a good thing because it means I'm never at a shortage of things to play. It does mean when a format like Pioneer gets flipped on its head gets unpredictably flipped on its head, that I have a backlog of things that now have to be played in a format that's been flipped over. Probably dead here at this point. That one's good enough for me. Back it up, back it in, let me begin. Get these Reckless Rages out of my deck. Got Vanguard, Gideon. What's a piece of streaming as a business advice you'd give to past Jeff just starting out? Put your chat in sub-only mode sooner, idiot. Roscoe nabbed it. Thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. B-Coogs, thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate that. Trying to pander to everyone trying to pander to everyone to get everyone to like you is going to end up with fewer people liking you overall. Learn to let some of the idiots go and ignore them. Understand that the thing that makes some people love your content is going to make other people hate your content, and that's okay. Chase 2 rabbits, end up with none. That's a very simple way to phrase it. Gasarama, thank you for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. Why don't I use the alternative arts MLD? Because I don't think they look very good. I also think, in addition to some of them look nice, some of them don't, in my opinion. They look out of place. Even the ones that I think look nice look out of place. It's just like the Pokemon Energy Lands, or whatever you want to call them. They don't really look like Magic cards. I don't think they really look like they belong in my Magic deck. Yeah, I'm still taking Pioneer decks for $50+ fucka. Because, well, I like money. So, how this channel works, when I say we're not taking things, what that actually means is we're not taking things for the same price we were previously taking them for. That's the translation. Liberals aren't allowed to say they like money. Just like there's an all other formats price for $100. Huh. I think I'd just stick that rather than attack for 3.
This is a prime day for justice. I will lend you my strength.
You dislike capitalism? Why do you have a house? Yeah, I'm super glad I didn't impulse buy paper Pioneer cards, because I almost did, and I would have been super sad if I had. Do you and Christy have a conversation about the appropriate amount to share your kids' lives online/on stream? Yeah, I mean, anything that doesn't really qualify, anything that I think doesn't qualify as private, like, I don't know, like, I guess maybe you're asking, like, where do you draw the line on what's private and what not? I don't know, it's kind of a case-by-case basis, but, like, the difference is, I think parents who are like, I never want my kid's picture on Twitter, and I never want my kid's picture on Facebook, I think those people are unreasonable. Especially when you consider the fact that most of those people have Apple or Android phones that are like collecting their private information constantly for marketing purposes. Like, I feel like they're people that don't really understand how the digital age works, and like they're trying. It did. I think we made a command. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, there is a baby registry for the new Hooglet. A couple of people had asked to send stuff. You know, Christy picked out some stuff on there if you want to send something off Amazon for the new Hooglet. I don't know. I think telling your kids they're not allowed to be on social media is setting them up for failure. Rather than telling your kids they can't use social media, teaching them the appropriate way to use it and discussing the psychological drawbacks and things that are associated with it are going to be critical. Like, I think I'm going to be in a position to help my kids understand and navigate social media a lot better than I did. And our generation did, just honestly, because, you know, we were the first ones, right? We had to figure a lot of it out, and we're still figuring a lot of it out. You don't want to post pics of your kids on social media. Why? Do you not take them out in public? Like, are they not on random cameras and different pictures that people take in their backgrounds when you're out in camera all the day? Like, I don't know. I think not taking your kids out and not posting pictures of your kids on social media for fear of, I don't even know what there could be fear of, honestly. I don't know. I personally think it's very silly. I think they're gonna end up there regardless, so who cares? I don't know. Feel free to disagree, but like, obviously, I share stuff with my kids on my Twitter and my Facebook, and I think that like that's fine to normalize that. I don't know, it's just weird to me. I don't really understand. Like, so like you choose not to do it. Can I ask? Like, just to help understand, what do you think you or your kids specifically are gaining by you choosing not to do that? Like, how are you improving their lives or making them better by making that specific choice? That would be my question I would posit to you from the perspective of why is this useful? Like, what's the end game? Why is it something that you're excited or feel like you need to do? Oh, they just have infinite God's Willings here? Yeah, we're super dead. Because long term, the results are still up. So you're paranoid. Sure, I'll take paranoid as an answer. You do you, but so long as your answer is paranoid. Posting pictures of your toddler on Instagram would lead to them being kidnapped by a pet. That's peak boomer FUD. That is very directly fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I mean, like, so like people that are talking about your children's privacy, do you not use an Android phone or a Windows computer or an Apple device? Because those things are all recording your child without their consent as well. So like, again, I feel like a lot of the people that are talking about consent, and when you talk about the arguments that you're constructing around it, when you understand the technology that you're engaging with every day, you need to understand that like you're already making that decision in the other direction every day with the other choices that you make. Like that just, it's the, like, in a perfect world, I think you should be able to dodge those things. But in reality, where I live and I understand how this technology works, it's like, well, you can't really avoid those types of things. We've given up our privacy as a society for convenience. And honestly, I'm pretty okay with that, right? Like, there's a reason why it's happened, because it is very convenient. What 3 cards am I cutting here, chat? I need to cut 3 cards. A couple of God's Willing are probably fine trims because Bonecrusher Giant stops it. But I don't understand. You're saying it's not difficult to avoid the social media aspect. Why is the social media aspect relevant when you're already giving it up? Like, why is that a line? Why is it worth it to inconvenience yourself in that way for a line to be drawn when like you've already lost it? It's like, well, I already cut off my hand. I don't have a good analogy. I don't know where we're going with the cut off my hand analogy. But like, yeah, I don't get it. You do you, but I think at the end of the day, when you actually like examine what you think you're protecting them from or changing, you'll realize that like that's already happening anyways. Jared, it's just weird to me to be like, to make this point like, I'm not putting my kids on social media to protect them or because I don't want them to be recorded or whatever, when like that's already happening. It just seems inconsistent to me. Like, if that's not your reason for doing it, more power to you, have whatever reasons you want. But like, if you're justifying it with that logic doesn't make sense. All right, what am I doing here? My poor Paradise Druid got Chain Whirlered. Maybe I'm supposed to cut Paradise Druid in this matchup because of Chain Whirler. You're fine with throwing away your own privacy for the benefits of other communities. My kid hasn't made that decision yet. But I'm saying you've already made that decision for them. So you're like positing it from this position of you want them to make that choice. But by using a Windows computer or an Android phone or an Apple phone, you've already made that decision for them. And that's why I said when you really think about what happens with the technology as a whole, the reasons to do or to not do that, you realize that like that's happening anyways. So like, again, in a perfect world, I agree with you. That's very noble, and from a purity perspective, that makes a lot of sense. But when you get back to reality and like this is how the world's actually working now, it's like, oh, it doesn't really make sense because that's not how things work everywhere else. I disagree with you. You think there's a real difference between Google and Apple and having widely available social media networks. I disagree with that assessment. I think that assessment comes from the idea that like you think individuals are more threatening to your personal freedom or your child's personal freedom than like the government or big corporations, and the big corporations are going to do way more evil things with your child's picture and your voice recordings than any individual's going to do. Hey, Bernie 2020, feel the burn, Anton. Thanks for the Prime support, I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. So and that's fine. You can feel free. I don't have any objective measure to tell you that I'm right and you're wrong on that. But my feelings on that matter are that if you think individuals are scarier to have you and your child's information, I disagree with that conclusion. Like, big data is far more likely to do something inappropriate with my child's information than random person that views their picture on Twitter. I think I'm supposed to keep holding this. I think holding the stomp for now is valuable. Hey, I appreciate that, Garcerama. It's good to have you here in chat. Something like 95% of humans are moral and corporations are 100% amoral by design. I feel like that's probably pretty close to accurate. Would you let your kids play outside unsupervised as some of us did when we were young? I didn't play outside unsupervised when I was young. My parents were responsible for the most part. I don't remember being allowed to like go to the neighborhood park until we were like into our teenage years by ourselves. Shots fired, boomers inbound. I think I'm supposed to Domri's ambush my way through this. You never rode your bikes around the neighborhood without your... No, we didn't. I'm also younger than I think a lot of people think I am. Just a reminder that I'm under 30. Can we win this race? I feel like we can win this race with this, right? I want to empty my hand because I don't want Robber the Rich to draw cards. My graveyard's empty. I'm 26 and my parents let me ride my bike into town by myself. I mean, there's a big difference between like playing in like an enclosed backyard or like a mostly controlled space and like letting kids like roam around the neighborhood at age 2. Huh? How about I attack with these two because we can Bonecrusher the Phoenix next turn when it gets to combat? I think that's the plan. Because they're obligated to block here, right? Oh, this attack is bad because this is first strike. Yeah, I think we're dead. I don't have good attacks. Yeah, that attack was bad. All right, well, we're in the solidly not dead yet camp. So they can escape this back, but even if they draw a land, it's only hitting us for 5. So if they escape that back and have a lightning strike, we're dead. Razor thin game there. Think I'm happy with how I boarded. I'm gonna go ahead and run it back. How is Pioneer today? The decks we played against were pretty reasonable. The deck we played felt underwhelming. We played a cat oven suggestion, or cat oven variation, and cat oven consistently underperformed in Pioneer for me. Sure. Just gonna pass here since I'm not under any pressure. I don't think there's a reason to play out Dreadhorde Arcanist to get a lightning struck. Hype to death. I'm glad we don't see eye to eye and everything. It was getting eerie how similar we were. Thanks for the 13 months. Welcome back. Playing Raid really makes me appreciate how incompetent WotC is at taking my money. That's such a weird almost compliment. That's such a weird almost compliment. Yeah, I would definitely recommend if you're gonna play Raid and give them money, set yourself up a budget and then stick to it. Budgets are good. Be responsible. Man, I'm about to get Ember Cleaved, aren't I? What's Raid? Raid's it's a mobile grindy RPG game. I've been playing a bit of off stream, and a few other subs have been playing too. It's very peak, it's peak like gotcha mobile game though. There's like deals that like flash in your face and stuff when you play it. Balasar, thanks for 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. You just a bit, just a scotch, you know? It's the smallest of amounts. Yeah, that feels very peak boomer, Gerd. Unsupervised outdoor time is okay, but early social media presence is not. Yeah. As someone who can probably say, I've certainly experienced the entire range of social media emotions a human is capable of experiencing in this world. I definitely don't feel like it's that bad. Wow, okay, so I punted. So my punt here, for those not familiar, I should have done this during their second main phase. Now, I think that analogy's kind of bad, dude. Like, I think that analogy is kind of bad. Let's draw some cards here. See where we go. Oh, that's a good one to draw. That's a good one to draw. Like, here's a real thing. What do people who think you shouldn't post, or that don't post their kids' pictures online for some reason, what do you think is the upside to you doing that? What do you think you're saving them from? What's the positive? That's my question. What do you stand to gain? Sure. I mean, just don't actually me on the verbiage that I just used. What are the downsides you're avoiding? Child predators is a huge FUD thing. Like there are kids everywhere. Like, show me the data. Show me that posting your picture, show me the information that says posting your child's picture on social media makes them more susceptible to a child predator. Show me the study on that. Show me that that's just not boomer FUD. That sounds like some boomer FUD. FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's saying something that sounds scary to get people to be like, yeah, that's probably okay. Yeah, that makes sense. FUD is what the Republican Party is built on these days. It's why the GOP sustains itself. FUD is saying things that sound kind of true on the surface if you don't actually think about them, but then when you actually sit down and start to think about them, you realize that it's nonsense. Is Boomer FUD a new Looney Tunes cartoon? Sure, but that's not what we're talking about, Sunshine. I definitely think there should be limits to social media use when your kids use it, but limiting social media use and teaching kids how to use it appropriately is very different than the topic of, hey, I'm not posting pictures ever and I'm afraid to do that, or I think I'm protecting them from something by doing that. That's the discussion we're having. I agree with you that teaching your children how to use social media responsibly and then talking with them about the feelings that they're going to experience from using social media is good and important. I mean, teaching children to understand the outcomes of things they're going to feel as a result of using social media is good, just like teaching children about the things they're going to feel from other things in life. Yes, that's the statistic from my understanding. Abductions overwhelmingly happen by people that already know the child. Not random person that sees your Instagram or Twitter photo. Another Reckless Rage here is a great draw. So the real trick is don't let your kids beat people. I mean, people tend to suck, so I'd agree with that. Sure, and we're just trying to dissect that personal decision, Terrors. So like, people are making that decision for a reason, so I'm trying to understand what people think they're gaining by doing that. Obviously, this is a decision that doesn't hurt anyone, and people are welcome to have their own autonomy and make their own decisions about themselves and their family, but trying to understand other people is trying to understand why they make the decisions that they do. All right, listen, you might be new here. You have a 2-month sub icon next to your name. You are always welcome to explain why I'm wrong, but this is my space. I'm the God Emperor. If you're gonna tell me I'm wrong, you need to tell me why. You don't just get to show up and say, Jeff, that's wrong. No backup for it. If you're not gonna help me understand why I'm wrong, you're basically just coming in here and telling me to bugger off, and that's not welcome. This is my space. This is a dictatorship, and I'm the dick. Am I, Tom? All right, so do I want to value Defiant Strike here? What's the outcome if I Defiant Strike this? Could they kill this? They only have 2 mana, right? There's no 2 cards that kill my thing here. I mean, parents make decisions all of the time that children grow up to not like. I don't like that happens all the time. In fact, you could argue a defining feature of the boomer generation is having done things that they're... Oh, shock plus skewer could have gotten us there. Yeah, that's a good call. Shock plus skewer could have done it. Let's try and hit a land here. Alright, I'm gonna smack them for 5. Yeah, but I was doing it during their main phase, Grief, because I wanted to get it back at their end step. That's true, Undead Voodoo. That's true. Sure, so should I not take my kids out in public, Dr. Jazin, because they might not like their photo taken in public? Like, I feel like there's a lot of apt comparisons that get drawn there. Like, in my opinion, the position where you draw the line with social media, where you're like, this isn't okay for social media, I think the place you're drawing the line doesn't make sense to draw the line. That's my opinion. That we arbitrarily draw the line at social media when we do all of these other things that are considered normal is weird to me. And again, you can feel free to disagree with that. That's purely subjective on my part. I don't have a data point to back that up on, but I personally think that that's a weird place to draw the line. Yeah, and like I said, the society in which we live today, we've given up many fundamental freedoms for convenience. That's just the truth of the world we live in, right? They're dead. We get to Domri's ambush them next turn and kill them. Yeah, I think that's true too. I kind of agree with that, Frax Party. I think it would be neat if there was like more videos of me growing up where I could look back and see what of a doofus I was. I think there's a chance that like kids are like, oh, I'm kind of when they're 14, Declan's probably going to be embarrassed that there's videos and clips of him being adorable on my Twitch channel. But like, you know, when he's older in life, he might appreciate that, and he might not too. But you can't know, right? I don't like going outside, my graphics suck, and the classes are unbalanced. I agree that in the reality video game, the balance is really off. I feel like, is it crazy to cut some Paradise Druids here? I feel like it's not, just because of Chain Whirler. I built my character wrong. Can I start again? Yeah, I really shouldn't have used Constitution as a dump stat. should have been more balanced. J-Man, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I spent 18 years in the tutorial and I don't know what I'm doing. That's a good line too. Sounds fine. Needs to draw a couple of lands, but pretty reasonable. Has our Moment to Triumph here, which gains us a little bit of life and is a useful combat trick. Definitely just stomping that one. There's a permanence that comes from social media that doesn't exist in real world interaction. So a lot of social media presence is real world interaction though. By going outside, your child, you and the people that are going outside are constantly being recorded and other things like that in a very permanent way. Like, again, I feel like some of the things surrounding this are just based on people not understanding how much they're being recorded in their everyday life. Z Cowan, thanks for the Prime support. And again, more power to you, but more power to you. Do what you want, what makes you and your family happy. But I just think a lot of people think they're protecting themselves from something that they're not really protecting themselves from. I feel like the upside you think you're getting, you're not actually getting when you think about how the world actually works. Can I get some hype? I just got my dream job as a critical care nurse. I start 2 weeks. Hey, congrats, Z Cowan. Maybe I should have played Bonecrusher Giant there, just because Paradise Druid dying was a real concern. We live in a post-privacy society, something that's never existed before, so we've got to approach it differently, but pretending it can be halted entirely is a fool's errand. Yeah, I agree with that. Post-privacy society is definitely an apt description, I feel. Now I'm kind of curious, does this discussion about privacy constitute politics for people that are going to complain I talk about politics? It's an interesting thought. We will bleed for this ambush, but we will take it. Thanks for the 6 months there, Fac. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. If it's controversial, then yeah, it gets called politics. Fair. Oh, there's plenty of people subdue to my politics. Y'all are great. Yeah, I think that I agree with that wholeheartedly, Dr. Jessen. I think most people don't realize how much privacy they've given up already in their day-to-day life is accurate, and where they draw the line tends to be arbitrary. Huh? Am I supposed to kill this? I take damage for every counter that comes off this, so like, am I supposed to kill this, take 5? Or am I supposed to just try and run them down? I feel like they're high enough that I'm supposed to go to 7 and kill this Chandra. People come here to watch magic something. It's like there's a few different YouTube channels where like people are just like playing a video game while they talk about a topic, and sometimes that's what this channel is. We're just like have magic going on while we talk about things. Ooh, should have left up double white. Didn't get punished. And I definitely just try and push lethal here, right? Close set. Play this one for an hour and a half. I want to play the last one. Let's see if we can 5-1 or 4-2. I like this deck. Yeah, what was it? I remember there was a meme, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s, we warned people about meeting those they met online, and like now we summon people from the internet with our cell phone to drive us places, and we get into their car and travel around a city. How long have we been live? This is the last match with this one, Wargy. We are 4-1 currently. I may or may not have plans to meet weirdos from your chat when I visit towns. Hey, I've met plenty of weirdos from my chat. They're great. They tend to be great people on average. Super rewarded for playing the Season of Growth there. I think I'm gonna lead on Paradise Druid. I want to try and find some things to target my creatures with here to start, so that way I can get some value with this feather in case it dies right away after I play it. Wishclaw Talisman. All right, you have my attention.
Please stop.
Yes, Wargy. That's exactly correct. All right, don't Ritual of Soot me, bro. I think I'm gonna keep this because if they Ritual of Soot me next turn, this lets me kill Karn. Oh, this is adorable. This is adorable. The Karn stops your opponent from activating their artifacts with his passive, so he stops me from using Wishclaw, technically. Alright, I think I'm gonna activate this and fetch the Indestructible card out of my deck. Sheltering Light. Yeah, neat synergy there for sure. This Ritual of Soot is why I got Sheltering Light as opposed to God's Willing there, just for reference. Was that a good draw or the best draw, chat? Good draw or best draw, you decide. This deck is so gas when it pops off. It's just such a delight. Go. Wishclaw Talisman doesn't activate on their turn. It's not the text of the card. Yeah, but I also got to get my engine going by finding this. So like finding this let them find Ritual, but they could have had the Ritual anyways, but getting my engine going here was incredibly valuable. Is that a good one, chat? What do we think about that one? Above average, maybe? Have I mentioned that I love this deck? I stacked these wrong, should have drawn and then scryed, because I knew there was a good card on top of my deck. Could have scryed this to the bottom if I had done that better. Are they dead? This is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, they're actually just dead here. That's great. All right, yeah, got the sweet 5-1. Got the sweet 5-1. Tasty. What are our daily deals, chat? I already have all the daily deals. I don't want an Azuria sleeve. You're so boring and not even animated Azuria sleeve. I don't have any changes to make to this deck. This deck's been the same up on the website for a little bit here. I think with the addition of Bonecrusher Giant with ELD, the list kind of got to a good spot. I don't think there's really anything... that I'm interested in changing or adding. Deck was sweet. Maybe the Cindervines in the sideboard aren't stellar. Perhaps if you feel the red matchup is hard, you could play a more... I guess this is fine against Embercleave, though. I was gonna say you could consider Thrashing Brontodon, but I'm not sure we have enough green for that. I guess we have 13 plus Paradise Druid, so maybe, but... Cindervines is pretty good. Just remember, Nexus of Fate's still legal in this format, so Cindervines is really good against Nexus of Fate. At any rate, that's going to wrap up for Historic for today, but don't go anywhere. We got a bunch of Standard coming up. Wednesday's a long stream day. We're going to go ahead and kick off today with some red-black Aristocrats here. We'll be back in just a few. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for hanging out today, folks.